Howdy, all y'alls. I have a kind of a experience I wanted to tell you about. I drive up to Brigham City to this one specific gas station to get gas because it's usually 30 to 40 cents cheaper up in Brigham than it is down in my area. And I like to drive anyway. So anyway, I had my GMC with me. It's an 84, which means the windows are manual. So I filled up the both tanks. I got 22-gallon tanks on it, and so I filled up both tanks, and then I normally do my mileage and stuff like that, but I don't stay at the pumps. There's a Tractor Supply place that's over there next to the Maverick. So I pulled over to the Maverick, and some guy pulls up next to me in the opposite direction on the passenger side, and that's a Mercedes Benz, kind of nice. It's an older one, probably one from the 2000s or so. It's an SUV type, SUV wannabe, because it's probably just front wheel drive. Well, I don't know. I've never owned a Mercedes. So anyway, this guy, he looks Middle Eastern, and he comes up and he starts acting all desperate and everything like this. And he's saying he's in desperate trouble and he needs help and this, that, and the other. And, well, okay. I'm Christian, and, well, I was born LDS, but Christian. And there's a certain Catholic or Christian ethic where when somebody is in need, you try to help them out. So this guy comes up and he's acting all desperate and this, that, and the other. And he says, well, I need to come up with some cash. Nobody will buy my golds. And I'm like, okay. So he takes off his necklace, takes off his bracelet, and takes off his ring, and he says, it's all 18K gold. I just need $400. And I'm like, I don't you see the truck I'm driving, I don't physically have $400 that I'm going to give you. So he hands me all this stuff, and I put it on the driver's seat of the truck, and I'm blocking the truck. So, he starts wanting to give me this watch okay, he says it's a Rolex. Well, gold doesn't turn gray, for one thing. And the other thing is, it was a lady's watch. It had this little ring of they could have been fake diamond chips on them, but I knew it wasn't a Rolex. Rolexes, from my experience with that kind of person, he's from the Middle East. From that kind of person are heavier. That's all I can describe. So I look at the jewelry, and it's bright yellow gold and this, that, and the other. And it's stamped 18K. So I'm like, okay, kind of looking at it, and I already had my suspicions, but just in case, I told him I'd give him $100. Well, I kind of tested him out. I went into the Maverick and over by the teller machine, and then came back out and told him the teller machine won't accept my card. So, kind of a test to see how desperate this guy is. So, I went over to my bank, which is there's a whole bunch of branches of my bank in Utah. So I went over, and this guy the whole time he's like, look, just give me your phone number, and I'll call you back, and I'll give you $1,000 to give me my jewelry back, and the whole story. He's got his wife in the back seat and his little boy in the front seat, and they're both keeping quiet. So anyway, I ran up there and he followed me up to the bank. So the outside teller machine stopped working. The little red light turns on. Okay, no money. So I ran inside, got $100, and went out and gave him the money. He took off right away. Well, I had the bracelet and stuff checked out, and I went to a couple jewelry stores. One guy said it possibly could be. I went to a different jewelry store, and the younger kid said, "I think it's real." He thought it was real. I could probably go back there and sell it to him for $1,000. I'm not going to do that. I could use this $1,000. So anyway, the thing that was kind of a tip off for me is this Middle Eastern guy. He goes, "Well, the jewelry was made by my family. It's got my family name on it, and this, that, and the other." And well, that's the family name, and it's marked 18K. That's the bracelet. And they're pretty and everything like that. And that's the necklace, which is pretty. And actually, I've seen this designer necklace before, just recently. So the guy says, "Well, it's got my family's name on the jewelry and everything like that." And I'm like, it's marked 18K. Your family is 18K. So anyway, I gave him his $100. He took off. So I went and had it checked out. I went to one. I'm not going to mention any jewelry shops. The first one I went to, the guy looked at it, saw the 18K stamp, and said, "It's possible, but we don't have any way to test it." And then I went to a shop across, and there's a lady who's really nice, super nice. And she goes, "It's fake. Don't tell anybody your story." So, hi, Katie. So she goes, "It's fake, period." And this younger kid, I don't know, he looks like he's in his middle 20s. He thinks it's real. So I'm like, okay, there's another professional shop that I'll go and check out. So I waited overnight and went to this shop. And the jeweler that I went to had this machine that's like an X-ray or something like that. And this is a top-of-the-line shop. So the guy tries to calibrate his machine. His machine won't calibrate off a chip of gold. So anyway, he says, "I can't help you. I can't get my machine to work." So I'm like, okay. And I went down to Salt Lake City to a jewelry shop, a big Mongol shop that is, my great grandmother did business with them. They've been there forever. So I went over to that shop, and the lady looked at it, and I said, "Well, what do you think of it?" And she just went straight over, grabbed a magnet, doink, to the bracelet. So I picked up the bracelet right away, and she said, "That's not gold." So she tried to pick up the necklace, and it would not pick up at all along any part of the length. And then the ring was not magnetic at all. She goes, "Odds are all of it's junk." So I'm like, okay, thank you. They did that for free, and then they kind of acted snotty towards me, which is fine. I don't care. When I'm wealthy, guess what? I am not going to treat people like crap just because they're not going to do business with me because I already have my money. Does that make sense? So my money doesn't make me. I make myself by the character and the way I treat other people. So anyway, I'm like, okay. Well, on one of my bus routes, there's a pawn shop that I drive by all the time. And so I went down there because, when every one of the jewelers says, try a pawn shop, I'm like, okay. So I went down to a pawn shop, and the lady did the acid test, but I didn't watch, and I don't know how it works. But she came back, and she was all, sorry, hun, it's all fake. And I only saw her test the ring. So what I'm going to do is take it over to a scrap dealer and see if it's worth anything, or I've been keeping it in a little yellow bag. Now here's the thing. I won't get caught up in that scam again. That's one thing. The second thing is, there are people all over the world that would pull this same scam. Now, this guy was saying he was Arabian or something like that, and it had his family name on it, and they can afford to toss around gold, things like that. Tain't so. Now, if I run into somebody who hands me a fistful of gold, and I'm going to get it checked, But I did the Christian thing by helping the guy out with $100. So the curse, if there's a curse involved with that, it's on him. That's one thing. The second thing is, okay, yeah, I was stupid. I should have told him to bug off. But for $100, it's worth the story. That's one thing. I wasn't thinking that then. But I don't have any bigotry towards anybody from the Middle East or anybody that doesn't speak a perfect American accent. I don't really. I take people on their face value. I know some people who are just awesome people to begin with, and they're from all kinds of different places: Cambodia, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Germany. I've only met one guy from Poland. Excuse me. And he's American Polish, so he gets really offended over some of the stuff that people on the East Coast say that I've never been exposed to. So in Utah, when I grew up, you're not exposed to really a lot of different cultures and some of the bigotries and stereotypes that you always hear about. So it's that's my story with the Arab and the gold. Now, if there's a Arabian prince out there or somebody who wants to salvage my impression in their mind, okay, you can give me the weight of this if it's not gold in American money, and okay, I'll take it. But otherwise, no, I don't have a different opinion of anybody from the Middle East, because that's the kind of scam somebody from India would pull, or anywhere in the Middle East, yeah, including Israel. So, people are people. If there's a way for them to make easy cash, then they'll do it. But I didn't get taken for a lot more. And this guy was just like throwing this stuff at me like he was desperate for cash. And so I dragged him around. I made him work for it, and he stuck with it. So I don't know, maybe he was supposed to bring home some cash to give to somebody else, because it could be a racket. I might go up there and kind of watch around and drive my truck up there again, but they'll know my truck by then. But I got my other cars. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.